kept doing it, and I wanted to say incoming, but I didn't. but my goodness, I'll tell you, I had the hardest time. I have to say, to me at that time, things were not presented in a logical way. She would demonstrate, we would do it. She would demonstrate, we would do it. Okay. I hadn't turned very fast before. In other words, she wanted us to turn 2,000 or 3,000 RPM. And at that time, I think my lathe only went to 1250 or something. And that was one reason. Another reason was that I was pushing too hard, and my tools weren't as sharp as they should have been. Okay. And I got to say, thanks to Roger, when he asked me to do this demonstration, I had given up. I thought there at Aramont, well, I'll just take this stuff, take it home, study a little bit better, because I'm a bit of a slow learner, and I'll figure it out. Well, when I got home, my neighbors were calling 911, complaining about unidentified flying objects. And I thought, whoa, you two, this is not for me at this time. Maybe another time. Well, when Roger asked me to do this twisted cup thing over here, I thought he really knew my personality as being Dill. She's a good teacher. But I think she got very frustrated with me, When she come over, she tried to figure, and I was really messing up, okay? Finally, she said, why don't you just play, And that turned out to be the best advice. Pressure was off. I just started playing and experimenting with what I could do. I slowed the speed down, and I was able to do a little bit better, okay? But my recommendation for those of you who are going to try this is to just play. That's the best advice I got. And when you play, you get creative, as you'll see in just a few minutes. The principles that were taught, I'll pass this book around. This is the textbook, so to speak. And I still don't get it. I don't understand what she's talking about with the different. There are 4 different planes, and the sun came out, and a loud voice said, "What part of turning light cuts don't you understand, Buff?" I was pushing I didn't realize how hard I was pushing on these things. So when one of these things were getting kind of thin, I'm pushing too hard, darn it would break, fly off the lathe. Now, it may sound elementary to you, but, sometimes we learn the hard way, I suppose. And what we're going to talk about today is just spindle turning, offset spindle turning, okay? And I got to say that this is not with face plates or anything like that. We're all used to turning between centers. The red line represents the center. The blue and the green, in this case, are parallel to each other. Okay, in other words, they're moved from the same distance from the center on both sides. Okay, now that's parallel. And I'll show you some. Well, I'll do it right now. Here are 2 parallel axes. Want me to pass these around? Do you want to?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. There are 4 parallel axes here. Okay, and I put these in exactly the same order, but you can do them randomly. Part of this was you really can be very creative. You can put these axes anywhere you want. You're not limited to 4 axes. Here's one with 8. Okay, these are considered parallel axes, even though they cross the center line, because the 2 lines are parallel. Okay, I will pass this one around just to show you the various orientations, different shapes you can get from varying the axes, putting them in different places, and so forth. And again, this is all on the web. Setup, okay, I have 4 axes here. But you'll see later you can make them twisted, that is, cross each other, or keep them parallel, or a variety of them, okay? So there are 3 parallel axes. Yeah, and you get kind of a triangular kind of effect this way. 3 parallel axes will get you this. This I'm going to require some work. It's one of those Saturn fold or whatever I tried. Believe it or not, that's two axes. There's the center, which you get the ring from, and there are two off-center ones, but they're parallel. They're parallel axes, and you do get an effect of a kind of off. It looks off-center, but it's really parallel. And same thing. I don't think I have to pass this around. Center, but whenever the one axis crosses the center line, it's considered twisted. And there's so many different variations on this. That's why I say, if you play, you can see that. This is also considered twisted because the meat's up at the top. In fact, I'll demonstrate a little bit over here in just a few minutes. Okay, it's also considered twisted. All right. Okay. I drew this one up so you could see it, and because it's a part of the problem I found out about. This center area here where the two circles intersect is what you have to play with. In other words, if you're going to push the envelope, you either want to go at or short of this particular area. If you go a little farther, it will break. And that's what happened to me. I didn't know that at the time. And thanks to Roger, I re-educated myself. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were asleep. Okay. A drinking cup, I what you call it, a drunken drinking cup or something. I don't know. But the way it was done was with the twisted axes was at here. Now, first I shaped this, then I tilted it inside the chuck, and whatever. I played. If you want to do the same thing. Same thing with this. I've never been able to exactly duplicate. Okay. I don't know if you guys make furniture at all, or some of you do. This is called a spoon foot, or it's called Dutch foot, or I don't know, something like that. But anyway, what is it?
Looks like a cabriolet.
Yeah, that's not actually accurate. Cabriolet would have a bit of a curve, okay? Some call it cabriolet. And I left the points, the axes points, on the top and the bottom so you could see. So first this was turned off-center, okay, and this was turned. And on-center, this was turned, okay. So,
do you fan them?
A lot of my wife likes these things. It's a regular scoop, except the handles are turned off-center. Okay, so she likes to put flour, sugar, whatever. I have one for my. I'm done with talking over here. But the thing that threw me, maybe because maybe I'm even a little retentive. I like things to be pretty precise. Is that there's no limit to the number of axes. There's no limit to the placement. Okay, something like this. We'll see this on the web also.
This is crazy.
Whatever you want, you can do. Someone is going to show you that. Here. The only thing is, when you do these axes, I have a sample over here. In fact, it's a sample of this for the twisted cup, which I'm going to show you now. Okay? In fact, I'll pass this around in a second. Is that the numbers or letters, whatever you want to call them, have to match on the other side. Mirror. Okay, so 1 has to match it. 1, 2, 2, 3, and 3. Now, what you do after that, in other words, you want to keep track at least of what you're doing, because if you don't, I don't know, sometimes you get something pretty ugly. But you can use these, as you see, with either parallel or twisted axes. But this is practical thing, like a little candy dish or something. These are the 3 parallel axes.
Oh, that nice.
All right. Now, make sure that this is good so it doesn't fly off and hit Ray. He doesn't need any more blood loss.
Hey, the front row guys take a risk.
They do.
The movies are always in front.
That's a random.
Yeah, that's what I did with those cups.
You don't put anything under the end so it registers against the back of the chuck?
No,
So it's just the jaws that are
just the
holding it?
jaws. Okay. So
Are you sure you got strong?
all right. So.
Now you know why they fly.
All right, I'm only about up to but basically, you can do all kinds of things. I didn't mention
Well,
this.
yeah.
You're going to be turning air, and that was a problem for me too, because you really have to look and see where that goat shadow is. And so if you're going to rub bevel or anything else, yes, sir.
Did you create any specialized tools for your off-center turning?
Oh, you can do. I still need to learn about like nuts, right? I don't know, just try. I'm just playing right now. So a little bit here. Perhaps a code. I'm not going to do this whole thing here, but you get the idea. Okay. And all I would do. You see that okay? That would need to be sanded. If you go faster, you won't get as much, you won't get ink on it. Right? So what I would do next is, I don't want to go faster. You can go deeper.
Question.
Yes.
Why not use your center to hold that in place while you're doing that?
Because I wouldn't be able to. All right, this is what it should look like when you set it up. And the instructions, again, are all on the web. Put the glasses down here. And basically, like that small cylinder that you're looking at, the numbers are matched, 1 to 1, and so on. And you notice the red. Now, these really are more for reference than they are for anything else. Later, you're going to put a tenon on there so you can put it back on the chuck. But it's a good idea to tell yourself, what's up, what's down here. I'm just going to write bottom on it in case I take this off, set it down, and forget which end I was working on. Okay? All right. So,
Could you show that underneath the camera right there, so they can see it on the screen? The end where you mark. Just hold it right there.
everybody see that? Bottom.
Little further forward.
Aim it toward you. There you go.
Beautiful.
Actually, when you draw the first circle is where you turn the tenon down to the red. Okay? And that's going to, as I say, going to be your guide. From there, you move in a quarter of an inch. And you want to go in at least a quarter of an inch or more, because once you put this thing on here, it's going to dig in, and what will happen is, you might chip at that point. Yes, sir.
If you wanted to taper the cup from top to bottom, say, would you make the one circle in the bottom tighter?
Yeah, but there's another way to do that. The so-called handle that Barbara Dill puts in there. I'll pass these out later. There you can see it's somewhat tapered at the bottom.
So you make your bottom circle smaller?
No, I cut a code.
Okay.
Okay. There we go.
One other thing that Barbara Dill talked about when we were in Tennessee is that you use a 1-inch drive center on there, you're only going to get 2 prongs at the most. You need to have a 1/2-inch drive center.
All right. Okay.
So how much do you have to drink before you start something like that?
Trust me, nothing.
Nothing. All right.
You just feel like you drank something.
That's a spindle, so it
Yes. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to cut on the ends over here, just to kiss the red portion. Okay? It's going to be kind of a guide here. So let's see. I'll keep it slow. All right. So basically, I'm just going to cut. Here. Let's see what I did. You have to check frequently. Okay. This one kissed the red. This one did not. Okay, so I'll get a little bit more. You guys are terrible. I'm turning too slow. Okay, now that about does it. Now, those that people grab on. So I'm going to take I'm going to take this roughly about a third. Is that a third?
Yeah.
Okay, close enough. And I'm going to darken.
Big up.
I want to be able to see that while I'm turning here. Between some lines, nice and dark. All right, next thing I'm going to do is to put a cove in this portion. Nice and tight, guys. All right. Yeah. Light cuts. I guess it's up to you.
Yeah, you're staying off the red, right?
I'm staying off the red. And I'm looking here.
Oh.
And again, I would be turning these much faster, but for the sake of safety, there it is. So
There we go.
okay, now before I finish blending, to make it symmetrical, I'm going to measure the depth of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
You get a little bit of a smoother cut with the, what? You get a little bit of a smoother cut with the roughing guide.
Lemon gouge?
There's one. Of course, I would wait till you're done to sand it. Okay. There's one.
All right. Jerry?
Yes, sir.
When you sit back here, you can see that blend real nice.
In the
And as
screen.
it's turning, when you get this far back, you can see it.
See what again?
You can see it.
Yes, it was almost a catch. All right.
We got it on camera. At least you got
Same process. I want to keep in line.
He wants both ends. Red one's nice.
Like that never happens to you guys, right?
Never.
It didn't come off. We started to throw it, yeah. I'm the only one who doesn't turn the plugs in.
Check center design.
probably go a little bit more. One of the things breaks a lot of lead, but you can kind of see where you're at. Can you see that right? Yeah. Okay, that's your going to be turning. I have to take a little bit more off there. Ray, will you stop ducking? You're making me nervous.
My shield moved.
At least I'm not hitting Jeff.
I'll tell you, you're a great turner. That other guy we had up last time.
I don't know how that happened yet.
You would stand in between each one, right?
You can. I would wait till you're done, because sometimes they overlap.
Come back and make correction.
Yeah. Okay. Oops. Out of sequence here. I got to make indentation.
What's the gouge you're using?
It's a 3/4 inch roughing gouge, yeah. And a 1 1/4 inch. Okay. All right. So from here. They're eating my turnips.
Is it tailstock cutting? How about lock on the tailstock?
That doesn't work because
Oh,
the wood's so
no.
soft. I mean, yeah, I've done
Or
that.
the other thing?
Ray's going to bring the side really 30 minutes.
You really are.
Again, I would be turning this a lot faster. Just for safety's sake, I didn't want to do it. All right, let's check. Yep, there we go. Okay. Sure you know that you can make all kinds of designs. I suppose the first thing you want to do is make a tenon on this end. Make it a little bit deeper. So whatever size your chuck is, you know. And now would be a good time to do some little designing. You could take the end and maybe just put a little lip on it. But I'll tell you what, I'm not really an artistic person. But I think of sorry.
I think it's great.
I think they're hairy butt ugly. Okay. Would you want to drink a beer from this? No, wouldn't you see?
I drink a beer on anything.
I don't know. I did it because Roger asked me to do it.
Right out there.
Man, those are ugly. Keep talking.
1A, 2B.
I'm talking, okay? Any other questions?
That's it right there.
Well, look, basically, I went to the introduction and showing those other pieces. I thought, you know, if you were interested...
Thank you, Phil.
What do you say?
Thank you, Phil. Phil wrote
Behind
one
you,
of the
he
things
wrote on
that-
3-1.
Thank you. That's not right, though. Those are parallel. Oh, you cross them.
No, we're crossing.
Anyway, if you want to experiment, I showed you at the beginning, play a little bit. If you want something a little more structured, go on the internet, you'll see I did a little triangular box in a couple of those twisted or parallel things you see there. So it's all there on the internet. Just go there, take a look. And finding the 120 degrees I started to say earlier, I got, in practicing, I just got tired of, measuring out whatever. And I made a board with a screw in the middle, and I angled on a piece of paper 120 degrees. There's a way to do it with just a compass, and I show you that on the internet also. Okay, just a plain old compass. It's very fast. Some of you knew that. I didn't know that before. Yes, sir.
What is it under on the internet?
It's on our website, Troy Area Woodturners.
This website.
Right.
Yeah, it's on the front page.
You can use index and you can't...
You made it.
Oh, yeah.
Rotor from a Wankel engine.
Yeah.
Do we have one? Who has the scoop? Can I? Gentleman has a question.
Camera. This was different. This was here. This one.
What I do first, I have the center here, right on the center over here. I turn this a whole sphere. Okay.
Okay.
A whole sphere. Then what I do is and there's still a portion left on this end. I don't cut this off. There's about maybe 3/4 or even an inch sometimes. And I turn it around, center over here, and over here I'll off center. Just the opposite of what I did earlier with that other piece. And turn something, whatever, and just change it randomly. Now you can usually I move it about 1/8 of an inch increments either way. Okay, as I say, you can experiment. Then when I'm done, I made a chuck, wooden jaws, that puts that sphere in a nice tight area, and then I hollow it out. You can see this little bit too. That's how you do that.
Did you say you left a tenon on there? You chucked the tenon?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry. When it's like this, there's still a tenon here.
Okay.
Okay, let's say an pound. This is center over here, and here is when I start moving it up and down and around at random in about 1/8 of an inch increments. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Well, you still have the tenon on this end too?
Yes, it's still there. Okay. Now, yeah. When I'm done now, I'll remove the tenon here. Okay, and I'll leave it until I've got everything here, and I'll remove the tenon, nice and smooth. Okay, and there's still a tenon on this side. Okay, which I either sand off or file off. Remember, this is spherical. Okay, and I jam it into my wooden jaws there, and I just hollow out the inside. Usually I have an angle.
Oh, I got you, yeah.
Okay, so you can either keep it straight or you can angle.
Hey, Jerry, have you ever tried to just make your round sphere and then put that inside the chuck that you made and then lock it down and then just move it around in that lock?
I've never tried that.
I've done that in about
Okay.
Bring something in, right?
Excellent job. Excellent.
Outstanding.
Thank you very much.
Outstanding.
Okay, a couple of things before we take a break.